France is on fire yet again. There are more base decisions from the Supreme Court, and Bolsonaro is barred from running in Brazil. Welcome back to the Dumpster Fire podcast. My name is Olivia. We're happy to be here live with you guys today, and I am joined today by my producer.
Hey guys, what's up?
So, of course, as always, before we get into this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We're always very, very happy when you guys are doing that. And we're going to go ahead, get straight into our first topic today. France is burning. France is on fire. Literally, metaphor. It is on fire. It is burning. Now, here at the Dumpster Fire, we take fires very seriously. Of course, naturally, right? Like, it's a thing, right? So,
It's in the name.
we have... It's in the name. It's in the name. There's a reason we chose that name. The world is a dumpster fire, specifically France. So, the events are, a little... they're crazy, right? So the first thing that happened was on Tuesday, June 27th of this year, the police shot and killed an unarmed teen who was driving, and he was pulled over. I watched the video, but it was kind of like, again, they're speaking in French, right? So like, am I supposed to no. I don't speak French. I'm sorry.
It's okay, you don't really need to learn that language anyways.
You're right. It's on fire. So they said that the teen tried to. So the original report was that the police said the teen tried to drive off in the vehicle, and that's why they shot him. But then there was another angle that came out later on Twitter where it shows that he was shot at point blank range, and they're basically saying that he's saying the teen was trying to drive off, and so we tried to subdue him so that he couldn't drive off or whatever. Likely story, my guy. The teen was then identified as Nahel M, a 17-year-old from a Paris suburb. He is of, I believe, Moroccan descent or something.
Algerian and Moroccan descent.
Moroccan?
Yep.
Okay, that's what I thought. I knew Moroccan. So next day, on Wednesday, protests started to erupt. They were citing racism against Black and Arab communities that had been ongoing in France. And 200 people that first night were arrested. And then Thursday, officers that were involved in the shooting were arrested and then indicted for involuntary manslaughter. Interesting. Again, we don't know the full thing. I don't know if they have body cams in France as much as we do in America. I don't know the full extent of that. I don't know how common they are, or if we would get footage from them specifically, hopefully with the translation, because again, I don't speak French. But the protesters then had to use the police had to use tear gas against protesters, and the protesters vowed that they would not stop burning the cities until justice was served. Then on Thursday, I'm sorry, I think I already said on Thursday, I am this is such a crazy timeline. I feel like it's just everything happened so fast. So on Thursday, after they were indicted, they started lighting more things on fire. They burned over 200 cars, damaged 800 buildings in about a dozen cities throughout France. So, wow. I feel like we've lived through this, but, we'll keep going with
when it comes to protesting, the French know how to do it best, so.
They've had how many revolutions? So, that happened. Friday morning, there was looting all throughout Paris, in which over 800 people were arrested. There was, the Nike store in Paris, city central, being broken into and looted. And then Macron said that many of the protesters were teenagers, and he appealed to the parents to keep their kids home. He called the violence unjustifiable and said it had no legitimacy whatsoever. And then added that the government would deploy new security measures that night. And that night, over 1,300 protesters were then arrested. And he postponed his visit to Germany to deal with the crisis. And the authorities said that more than 45,000 officers have now been deployed to handle these protests. As of yesterday, they had the funeral for the boy who died in hell. I think that's how you say it. I'm not entirely sure. And then last night, unrest continued with over 700 people arrested. It's kind of where the updates have stopped for now. As we're speaking, there's probably things burning, right? As we're speaking, there's things burning. And this is very reminiscent of the Summer of Love in 2020. I remember my city being burned, like, there was a literal dumpster fire, like, I'm not even joking, a literal dumpster fire in this alley, and I just saw this, like, dumpster get, like, shoved down. They were like, "It's gonna travel to other buildings, so you need to, like, isolate it." They, like, moved the dumpster from the building and, like, all that, but, like, I remember this literally happening in my city. They broke into the Secretary of State, which is, like, our version of the DMV kind of, but you do everything there, and they broke into it. I don't know why. They broke into small businesses downtown. I mean, like, small businesses that were owned by like black people and like immigrants. They broke into those buildings, and I was like, kind of a weird choice, I guess. But yeah, so we had that. But this entire thing, the way it began with the shooting of an unarmed black teen, is very similar to a shooting of an unarmed black individual being like I feel like this is very much like 2020, um, at least just in France, and they haven't had this level of like I guess they haven't had this level. I mean, I've seen like protests and stuff, but France is literally on fire to the point where they are now having to deploy extra troops, like more authorities. I don't know how Macron is going to handle this because he's been dealing with protests for a while, but now they're actually lighting things on fire. And I mean, I don't know. What do you think about all this, Derek? What is your take on all of this stuff happening in France?
It's France. What more can you expect? They just got done. I think they just got done with all the protests earlier this year from raising the age of retirement from 62 to 64, and they had massive protests going through. And now they're having this. I'm surprised Macron's still in power. I'm pretty sure don't. You're gonna have someone's gonna have to look that up or verify this for me, but I'm pretty sure he's already had a vote of no confidence go through, or an
Yeah,
attempt of it, and it might have not passed. But I mean, he's had probably, at least from what I've remembered in my time being alive, like the worst era of France since probably 15 years ago, because that's about as fast as they have turnovers for protests. But no, it's been a
yeah.
turbulent time in France. I got a friend that actually is that lives in France. He was an exchange student when I was in high school, and I asked him. This wasn't during this current protest, but it was from the last one that they had uh, with the raising the retirement age, and he said it was
Mhm.
just. He's not in a bad part, but he went up to Paris. He's not far from Paris, and he went to Paris and he took video of like the protest that was going on and sent me some things. And he was like, just wild there.
Yeah, yeah. So I have a friend that lives in Paris, that I went to college with. She attended our college for all 4 years, so I know her pretty well. And I just messaged her and was like, "Yo, are you okay?" Because like literally, like from her house, you can see the Eiffel Tower, like in Paris, in Paris. So I hope she's okay. I hope her and her family are okay. That's like scary. So hopefully everyone there is all right. But I think it's indicative of a people who are not happy with their government and the kind of things that they can do. Now, there's claims that these protests are just immigrants that are unhappy, not the French, but immigrants that have come to France. Again, I don't know. I haven't really looked at the legitimacy of those claims. Now, some of the things I've seen would tell me that that is true, but some other things I've seen would tell me that that's not the entire story. So I'm a little like weary to like make judgments there based on like people are making claims of like when cultures clash, these things will happen, and that can be true. But I think at the same time, there was so much tension in France, not just between people and like the immigrants, like the French people and the immigrants, but also just between the people and the government. And I think that we finally had a point where this happened. And then Macron's response saying, like, oh, violence is unjustifiable, like, that's an interesting response considering how he's acted in the past in his policies, because you see American leaders being like, burn it to the ground because that does something. Whatever that does, it does something to make things better. It does something to make things okay. I don't agree with that statement, but that's just me. I feel like maybe we should just start over with France. Maybe we should just burn it down and start over. I mean, ugh. No, we can get the people we like out. Well,
Thank you guys for letting me know that my mic was off because I.
Wow, so you just said
I
something
just
like me
I see
that
I
like
do
literally
this
just a
so
kid that
I
I know from college and was like, "Yo, audio cut at least for him," and I was like, "Not
yeah,
again." Like
no,
literally,
I do
guys,
that a
there's
lot
someone's
when we're
oh, take
recording. I like to have myself muted, so because I got this nice fancy mic.
you gotta talk to me, right? You gotta
Yeah,
talk to me sometimes
yeah.
too,
So I'll mute
like
myself so in case
privately.
I breathe into it, I don't want you guys to hear me breathing into the mic the whole time.
Oh, come on,
Anyways,
ASMR.
what I was saying was basically France never really got rid of its colonies after decolonization, so they have programs in place to help. Shut up, Olivia. They have programs in place to help people from at like places like Algeria and a lot of West African former colonies to move to for them to move from there to France. Mostly people who are of higher education, and they're not just taking it on anyone, but and they still have a lot of influence in a lot of those countries, like Niger, where they have a lot of oil resources down there that France has half-heartedly taken over. And there's an actual like not war, but like there's skirmishes and fights between Russian Wagner um, forces that are in Africa that are uh, promoting anti-France or anti-French uh, policies and trying to get France out of Africa, so Wagner can come in and take over the same stuff that France was.
Yeah,
It's
crazy.
yeah, but yeah, so it's a crazy time, and that's probably the biggest reason why there's a lot of France is probably has the highest amount of immigrants from Africa there. So seeing that a lot of protests are coming from a large immigrant population is not surprising, since a large part of their population is immigrants that France had brought in.
Yeah, no, and I entirely agree. I think, I mean, inevitably, we've seen this with Israel and Palestine, where I know my friend that's went to college with me is probably laughing because I'm bringing up this example for a very specific reason, channeling my inner former college advisor in this moment. But they clash because their cultures are different. They clash because they lay claim to something that they believe is theirs, right? And so they're going to clash over that. And I think we see a lot of these things happen all over I mean, and these things happen all the time in like Africa. We just don't hear about it. But I mean, and I'm gonna sound kind of like here, but like it's happening in France, so we're gonna hear about it. But it's also kind of it's different than their other protests. They're not just in the streets wearing like like the yellow jackets like they did a few years ago. They are they're okay to use this to expand power and to grab power, and that's how power works. I mean, we've seen that. But that's France. France is on fire. France is burning to the ground, and it's unfortunate, but what can you do? Oh, like sorry. I mean, we handled this in 2020, right? And so I think it's all about how you respond to the situation. And I mean, they arrested the like this happened a lot quicker than 2020. They arrested the cops pretty much right away. Like 2 days later, they arrested them, indicted them. So it'll depend. I don't know how their judicial system works. So it really depends on how quick they will be thrown in jail, because my guess is that they're going to be convicted for this, to, if anything, to keep the peace, right? Or to try to make peace. So we're going to move on to this next story. I don't really want to talk about this one like too in depth. I just want to touch on it because it's very interesting, because it also draws parallels to America. So Bolsonaro is now barred from running until 2030. That's a long time from now. Like I read that and I was like, okay, 2030. But then like I thought about that and I was like, that's literally the same amount of time between when I graduated high school and now. Like that is a lot of time. That's like about the same amount of time. Maybe a little less, but like roughly the same amount. That's weird to me. Um, so they were talking about how like the case that they had, Bolsonaro had used government staffers and the state television channels to tell foreign ambassadors that the country's electronic voting systems were rigged. Where have we heard this before, Derek? Have we heard a similar narrative from someone before?
Yeah.
Any outlets? But have we? Does this feel
Yeah, when
familiar?
you had me read through this article quick to grab a quick synopsis of it, I was
Yeah.
like, you could replace Bolsonaro with Trump, and it would read exactly the same. It's just ironic that a far right political opponent says, hey, there's some fishy going on, which I don't really know what on the Brazil side of it is, but it's just kind of
Yeah.
the parallels is just funny that both things are going on at the same time. Bolsonaro just got indicted at the same time Trump did. We'll see if Trump's also barred from running from office until 2030.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, I think they're trying to bar him in a different way. I mean, like literally, like behind bars, right? So, like,
Yeah.
there's that difference. But it kind of also is reminiscent of like when Tucker was let go from Fox, fired, like a whatever, because of the Dominion voting systems lawsuit. Like, it kind of came out later that these people are all being let go and fired because of this, and it's part of the settlement. And like, that's crazy. That is crazy to me. Like, I know that. I mean, we have freedom of speech, we have freedom of the media here, and right. So, like, I can see something happening like this in Brazil, but it's just so crazy to me that like this is very similar to what's happening in America with the electronic voting machines. I'm sorry if I'm talking too fast for anybody. I realize that the way that I speak is so fast, and I said that sentence and I like heard it in my head. I was like, "Wow, I spoke very fast." Apologies for that. I will try to speak a little slower just because I'm trying to be more self-aware here. So that's what's going on in Brazil, and we've seen a lot of interesting stories and interesting parallels in Brazil. Not to be that person, but like, didn't they like go into a government building? Like citizens kind of like went into a government building without permission. Didn't that happen? Not too long ago. So like that's interesting too. So there's a lot of things that have been happening in these other countries that are parallels to America, and like it's I don't know, interesting. But speaking on things that have been happening in America recently, the Supreme Court had an absolutely based week. Like, I was a little taken aback by some of these, right? Because I wasn't expecting the Supreme Court to do it. I know who's on the Supreme Court. I know the makeup. I know it's more right leaning, but the balls on these justices to go through and issue these are insane. So we're gonna go over this first one here, which is about religious exemptions for working on days like Sabbath days. And Groff v. DeJoy, whatever. We have it here, NPR reporting, that the U.S. Supreme Court unanimously handed a major victory to religious groups by greatly expanding how far employers must go to accommodate religious views of their employees. So Gerald Goff, who was an evangelical Christian postal worker, was refusing to work on a Sunday for religious reasons, and the post office would not accommodate his religious needs. They'd give him a hard time, so he was suing for religious discrimination when he got in trouble for refusing to work those shifts. The justices clarified law that made it illegal for employers to discriminate based on religion, requiring that they accommodate the religious beliefs of workers as long as the accommodation does not impose an undue hardship on the employer's business. This is huge for federal employees. I feel like for private businesses, it's a little bit different, but at the same time, most employers that I've worked for or seen are they're actually pretty good about that stuff. Like if I couldn't work for like a religious reason and I just said it, like they would be pretty accommodating of it. But it's interesting that the federal government didn't. Like USPS is part of the federal government, right? And like I mean, that's just I know that this is going back to the lower courts now so he can have a settlement, and good for him for standing up for his beliefs and his religion. That's awesome. But this case is huge. This is one of the less reported on cases. I feel like the other ones that are really big kind of like truncated this one. But this makes it, kind of set in stone, so clear that you have to make like he wasn't asking for like, I don't know, like I need these 4 days off, but I want full time benefits. That's not the case. Most people don't work on Sundays. Traditionally speaking, that's not part of the business week. And so I've always had a lot of respect for workers who do work on Sundays, especially like postal workers and like people who have to like deliver stuff, because then I get the stuff that I want, but they have to work for it. My brother just tried to call me. That's awkward. So wow, should be watching, but
Yeah.
okay.
Well, you know what's weird is I don't get mail delivered on Sunday, so what the heck are they doing on Sunday that
Yeah, there's like certain packages that have to be like special deliveries on Sundays. I guess like so if you pick like 2 day shipping and it's on like a Friday, I guess like some cases you have to deliver it. I don't get traditional mail delivery on Sundays either. Most people don't. I've
Yeah,
always
I didn't
thought
even
that
know
Sunday
that.
was
I
like the
thought they were
mail.
closed on Sunday. I thought they were 6 days a week and closed on Sunday, but I guess I was wrong about that.
They still do some deliveries, I guess, which is just so interesting. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, I don't know. I've never seen them working on Sundays. Amazon, yes. So I'm seeing Sarah in here saying that they get a front or back end schedule. So you work back end, so Wednesday, Saturday. Gotcha. Okay, so you're an Amazon driver. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, so some will work on Sundays. I've gotten Amazon packages on Sundays before, but I've never, I think maybe once or twice have gotten mail on Sundays from USPS, but not very often. It's like very rare. I've gotten UPS and FedEx and like private companies, but I've never gotten USPS. Outside of like one or two times where for whatever reason, I guess I got it on a Sunday. Okay, whatever. But yeah, I've heard that the treatment of USPS drivers isn't great. This is a big win for them to make sure that they're getting fair treatment. So that case stuck out to me for sure. Also, on the same vein of the post office, they're raising the price of forever stamps by like a good amount. So that's great. So Joe Biden's economy, Bidenomics, ladies and gentlemen, we're doing great.
How much are
Even the
stamps
post
up to? I
office,
don't mail anything. How much are post stamps up to right
you'd be
now?
disappointed. I can't remember. It's like 60 something cents, 62, and they're raising it to 66 or something. I'd have to look at the
Yikes.
exact numbers, but it's like changes in postal prices. Yeah, they're like changing it. Okay, so let's see. 2023 postage changes. Oh wow. Okay, so 63 cents. What was it at before? It was like way lower than that. It was so depending on the thing that you're sending. So like postcards used to not be that much. Now they're going to be 51 cents. Stamps were 63 to 66 cents. But like think about if you like are a business and you buy a bunch of stamps for your business. It's kind of like when gas goes up 3 cents and you're like, "Ah, that's like a big change." Like no, like it's going up so much. And like I remember being a kid and I was like, "Okay, 3 cents," right? But now that I'm like an adult, I'm like, "Oh wow."
Yeah.
That's so if you like have to buy a lot of stamps, I mean, that's a lot.
Mhm.
Like that's actually a lot for people that buy them in bulk. And as the resident stamp collector here, yes, don't come for me. Don't make fun of me. That's
I might make a
paraphrasing.
little fun of you for your
You've
little
already done that a million times.
stamp
But
museum and your
listen,
book of
it's called the
stamps.
Postal Museum, you uncultured swine, and it was the best day. It was my birthday, and that's how I celebrated. You want to come for me? Come for me. I was in DC. What was I supposed to do? Not go to the Postal Museum for my birthday? Yeah, freaking right. Thank you, Sarah. She said she loves the bucket hat. I made it, so thank you. I crocheted it. It took way too long, and I hated every second of it. But now I really like it. Now that I've got it made. They're
Olivia,
still
can I
asking
get
about the stamps.
can I get a bucket hat?
No, absolutely not.
Oh.
No, absolutely not. So we already talked about, I don't have any articles for this one just because we already talked about affirmative action in our last episode. But those cases were called students for fair admissions versus University of North Carolina and students for fair admissions versus Harvard. We talked about it, but I wanted to touch on the fact that it's one of those big decisions they brought down this week. So the next one we're going to really focus on is Biden v. Nebraska, which was the student loan one. So the president cannot unilaterally forgive student loans, essentially, is what this decision was. It's insane to me that you can borrow money and have to pay it back, and then people are going to complain about having to pay that money back. Now, like, I understand there were like things with COVID where like people were out of work. Like, I understand those circumstances making it so that they're pushed back, but it doesn't like not like they stopped interest, right? I get that. What I do not get is why I know, like, I don't think that 18-year-olds should be able to sign on the freaking paper without like a co-signer, like a parent. That's just me because I think it's just a stupid financial decision if you don't have a co-signer. Um, but yeah, Sarah just said, "How about the dumpster fire? That was an Indiana Jones 5. I haven't seen it myself. I value my time."
I heard it
Yes,
was
ma'am.
I heard it was
I have
terrible.
heard about it. I've heard from one person in our friend group that it was really good. He saw it yesterday. Why is my brother calling me again? Dude, I literally cannot speak right now. What the heck? If he calls me again, we might have to pause the stream and come back because like I don't why is he calling me? Stop calling me. Brian, stop. But yeah, so
He's trying to do a call in. He
the
wants a call in.
get back to where I was. I'm so sorry, guys. The thing with the president forgiving student loans, what's interesting to me is that Pelosi was cited in this decision, and Democrats are so mad about it. They're like, "Why did how dare you cite the former Speaker of the House, because she said the president can like not make these decisions unilaterally. She said that like last year when people were like, "I want Biden to forgive loans." She's like, "Well, don't forget that you can't do that, guys." So she got cited in the decision.
Ironic.
Now they're mad. Like, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions, okay. I hate that. I don't know. I don't have student loan debt. I am a master's student, for those of you that don't know. And my parents were very smart with their. I'm like very grateful for my dad. He was very smart in his investments. So I don't have student loan debt.
Yeah, so I'm
But
guessing it was like a 501c. I think that's what it's called.
I know tons of people that do.
I think it's a 501c that
I can't hear you, Derek.
What do you mean you can't hear me?
Can't hear you. Hello.
Olivia? Can you hear me?
What is that?
Can everyone else hear me?
Good. Go. I'm so sorry, guys. We're still learning. Go ahead.
Okay, no, I think I was gonna say I'm guessing you set up a 501c is what I think it's called for.
I don't ask questions. Bills get paid. I don't ask questions. One day for my own kids, I'll have that. What can I forgive? The interest of student loans so that graduates who have already paid the principal. I can hear both of you. Okay, so it was just me on my end. Sorry about that. The principal. Yeah, okay. So like, I hate how predatory loans are in general. Right? Like, I think loans in general are very predatory with the interest because that's how they make the money. But I do think that like, if there was a way to not allow them to be predatory with the interest, and then like you take out $100,000. Not that you should don't do that, guys, but take out $100,000 loan for college, and now you're up to 150,000 because that's a big jump. But you guys understand what I'm saying. You don't want the because you didn't, the principal and the interest and all that. I would agree with that because I think that interest is predatory, and that's just me. Like it's very MLM vibes to me. So like very like y'all want to hear a rant about MLMs one day, I'll do that. Derek knows I have a particular love for multi-level marketing
Same thing.
companies. I was trying to be nice. And so yeah, so it kind of gives me that vibe, right? Where they're like, you have to like, kind of buy into it. Kind of have to like I was very, very lucky that we never had to take out loans, but a lot of students have to, unfortunately. And I think education is expensive, and I don't want to go on a whole soapbox here, but I think that but student loan forgiveness, you made that choice. I know people who have chosen to go to private colleges even though they're from that same city of the private college but live on campus, take out more money to live on campus, and then decide that now they're going to take out a bunch of loans when they could have just gone to the community college because it's in the same city. That is my problem, is when people do stuff like that. If you're getting a stupid degree that you can't afford later, that is your own fault. I'm so sorry that you decided gender studies was the way to go, but that doesn't mean that I now have to pay. What about the women? Why do the working women have to now pay for your stupid decisions? Just curious. I don't think anyone should have to pay for your stupid decisions because you decided to get a gender studies degree or whatever. And I'm agreeing with Sarah. Again, she's so communicative. I love this. Yes, I agree. In high school, you should learn more. So I took a private personal finances course or whatever it was called. It
Personal
was called
finance
like
class.
it was like something like that, but I don't think it was called that. It was like personal financial literacy or some stupid name. But it was an elective and you had to choose to take it. And you want to know why I took it? Because the other elective I wanted was full. So first day of senior year, and they're like, "Oh, oops, sorry." Which, like, by the way, the first day of my senior year just sucked on so many levels. But they were like, "By the way, you can't take this class." Hi, T-Bone. They were like, "So you can't take this class. You have to choose another one." And I knew the teacher for that first class that I was gonna take. I didn't know the teacher for the second one. So the next day when I had to then come back to school and be like, "I'm about to miss a week and a half of school," because my mom was dying. That was a really fun conversation to have with that same teacher. So I really loved that. So thank you to my high school for making that the most uncomfortable conversation of my life. I had to have 6 of those conversations, but I knew most of my teachers. But like that one was super uncomfortable because like she didn't even know. I was in her first hour, so I was sat there after and was like waiting for class to start after having this conversation and like dead silence. It was so uncomfortable. but it should not be an elective. It should be a requirement. It should be like, if I could redo a lot, which the whole school system needs to just be redone at this point, but if I could redo something, it would be like teaching that, not just senior year, but like throughout high school. So like junior year, when you're applying to colleges and stuff, be like, hey, like, by the way, guys, like, make sure you're looking at these things. Like, hey, look at these, look at, how these numbers are. Make sure that you guys are looking at the average cost, and like make sure you look at like, this is what this number means, what that number means. I didn't learn any of that until senior year, when I was already committed to a college. So luckily, my parents were smart. My dad specifically was very smart and decided to make good investments. Thanks, Dad. But really appreciate that, because now I don't have to deal with student loan debt. People love that. That's like my big characteristic. People will be like talking to me, and I'm like, I don't have student loan debt, and I'm a master's student. And they're like, what? How do you not have that? And I'm like, you should talk to your parents, because that is partly their fault for not preparing for your future, because that is their job as your parent. And also my brother for going to community college. Thank you, because I got some money from that. And my mom for deciding to peace out on me, because that means that I also got some inheritance money. So anyways, moving on. The next base parents indeed. That is Sarah T-Bone. Okay, so we're going to go to this last case they had, which is 303 Creative via Linus, which is the private businesses can basically do what they want. Yay for freedom for business owners. Love that, because I'm a business owner, so I love that. Do I sell to mostly leftists? Probably, because the jewelry I sell is like very lesbian-esque. If you guys don't know, I sell jewelry made from like miniature food items. Very lesbian. And do they know that I am a like pro to a conservative? Probably not. Do they need to? Well, it's their own choice. They didn't look me up before, so sorry you made that decision. But yeah, so like I think it's good that like I could choose who to serve. I choose to serve people. That's fine, right? So they said that the First Amendment would prohibit the the citizens of Colorado from forcing a web designer to create a website for a
Hello,
wedding that
T-Bone.
they disagreed with. I saw that. I was trying not to get distracted. Hello, Derek. He was saying hello. That's cute.
Hello, mein Freund.
So yeah. So this is very similar. I don't know what's in the air in Colorado with people wanting to like sue people for not, allowing them to do what they want. Y'all gotta stick up your butt or something, because this is similar to that Masterpiece Cake Shop case where the guy that made the cakes didn't have. Do you have an online store? I do have an online store, Sarah. I will put it into the Discord when I'm done here. So yeah, and I'll tag you. But basically, or if you look up Karen Rose Crafts on Etsy, it might pop up. Sometimes I have trouble with that, but sometimes it works. So there you go. But yeah, this is very similar, basically saying like, oh, we want you to do this thing. Do you know how many cake bakers, how many web designers, especially web designers, how many people are out there that can create these things for you? Why do you go for the people like they know? They're like, okay, this could be a lawsuit. This could work because it's my freedom of expression. Well, it's also the freedom of expression of the person creating good evening, hello, creating the website or baking the cake, to be like, hey, I don't believe in this, so I'm not going to do that. I don't want to. I don't believe in it. It would be like asking, like, if this was flipped on its head, right? So say that some Christian, uber Christian, oh, hi. Okay, I know who this is because he asked what the channel was. Hi. So the
T-Bone, spell Steelers right next time.
Oh, I'm gonna steal that joke. Okay, I'm done. Okay, so, sorry, that was an awful one. That was a terrible pun. I'm so sorry. But say that like there was some like far right, like literally far right, not like far right, but like far right, like crazy far right, person wanted a website made or something, or like a cake made for an event, where they were like, like, we want you to make this, and then someone that was like of the LGBTQ community was like, well, you condemn us, so no, we're not going to do that, and then they were like, we're going to sue you. Everyone would like, Ben, hi. So sorry, that's a friend of mine that lives in Texas. Hi. Loud noises, very loud noises. Hello. I know you don't agree with me politically, but that's fine. Hi, I'm glad you're here to watch. So yeah, like I understand that like I think it goes both ways. I would agree that the person who doesn't want to create a website for someone that they don't agree with ideologically on I don't know, whatever, guns, marriage, whatever the issue is, I can understand why they would not want to do that, right? And like I would say the same thing whether it's someone on the left or the right saying I don't want to do this and I think it's my right not to. Of course it's your right not to do that thing. You have a right not to say no with your own business. If I didn't want to sell to somebody, which I've actually not sold to somebody before, for specific reasons, mostly a legal case, but it was because I didn't want this individual to buy from me, right? So I canceled the order because I was like, like I don't want to fulfill this order for personal reasons, and so I didn't. And as a business owner, that is my right. So that is the Supreme Court being super based this week. I'm trying to think of other things that happened this week that were just like kind of crazy. We rebranded. That's a story. We rebranded. Derek did a great. Well, I don't want to.
Oh,
No,
great.
Derek did
Oh,
okay.
no, yeah. I did a great job on this.
Derek did an alright
I
job.
spent a lot of time redoing this, so I have all these different cool little things, and we can do a lot more. I switched from OBS to Streamlabs now, so they give me a little more freedom to screw around and do some cool
You
things.
know what? Sorry,
I can read the YouTube chat now without
I'm reading it
having.
on my phone like a loser.
Yeah, that sucks to be you. So yeah, I can read
I
this.
yeah. Go
Uh,
ahead. I
Oh
keep
no,
cutting you off. I'm so sorry. I'm doing a woman thing. Continue. I'm so sorry. Just talk
no,
over me.
it's
Steve
just
members. Continue.
no, it's just like I can do a lot more cool things with it.
Yeah.
And like
Yes, that would be
this
cool.
little animation thing I have with our logo, and then slides to like share,
Yeah, this is our
subscribe.
logo. His name is Ted. I named him before Ted Kaczynski died, and then it was just an unfortunate mistake that I named him like 3 days
Mistake.
before. I was like, Theodore, Ted, like cute. Because like I don't know, it reminds me of like a teddy bear, which was named after Theodore Roosevelt, and so that's where that came from. Yeah. Oh my god, I just
That's where
dropped
that
it.
came
So
from.
I definitely just dropped it trying to put it back up there. So now you can see my little beanie baby baboon.
Monologuing.
But monologuing, yeah. But like again, we really appreciate the support you guys have been giving us and with all these changes. And of course there's things that we have not addressed publicly that I think we're not gonna address publicly. Um so I did crochet Ted as well. Ted is handmade. My best friend in the whole world just texted me and said, "Please tell me you've seen the Colleen Ballinger apology song." So that's so funny because we talked about this in our last show. We are going to be posting. I have gone through. I've taken Raymond. He does. So I make mini dumpster fires and big dumpster fires, and I do commissions. So that's another thing if you guys want to reach out to me somehow. But yeah. Wow, there's a lot happening all at one moment. Wow. So,
You guys are
like everything
overwhelmed.
just happened at
Your
once. And my
four
brother's
chats are
calling me, and I'm
overwhelming
like,
her.
no, listen, the chat, I dropped Ted, and I was like thinking about how I dropped Ted, and then I thought about how my brother tried to call me, and then my best friend texted me, and this was all happening at one time. She said it's stuck in my head. She said, so my best friend, the whole world just texted me, and she's like, it's stuck in my head, and I want to die. That's like what she said. So I'm making shorts. That's what I was going to. I'm making shorts. I took it upon myself to record some stuff from the last show and things that I said that I thought were particularly funny, and you.
Me?
To make into shorts to put on YouTube so we can build that algorithm. We'll have clips coming out this week, right, Derek? We'll have clips coming out this week, section clips coming out this week.
Yes, I can make sections.
Um,
Okay, we can talk
yes.
about this later.
We'll have section clips coming out this week, at least some of the highlights of our show
Yeah.
from last week. Especially the Colleen Ballinger one because I did say, I'm so sorry. It's just not every person that plays the ukulele is a child groomer, but every child groomer probably plays the ukulele. Is all I'm gonna say. So that's kind of it on that one. And so we have a clip going out about that. So we'll have some clips coming out. Again, we're not going to go too long here today, guys. It's a holiday weekend. So what's up with France? I missed that part. France is being burned. So quick synopsis there. France is being burned because the cops shot an unarmed teen who was driving erratically or something, pulled him over, shot him, whatever. And like he tried to drive away or something happened. The cops shot him at point blank range. He died. There's been protests ever since. The French always have something that they're like complaining about, but like the one time it's like real, they like they the one time it's like the boy who cried wolf. So they're like protesting over literally everything, and then they have something real to protest about. We're all like, haha, your country's burning. So that's kind of what's happening there. There's been protests, things are burning, literally things are getting looted. Think summer of 2020 vibes, but in France. Macron is telling them
Exactly,
stop. So
Fox.
yes, basically the Floyd riots, right? Summer of Love 2020. It's their own Summer of Love 2023, right? Love that. Except it's like the summer of, I don't know,
It's everything
baguette.
screwed.
What
Everything's
what is
they'll
wrong
find
with me?
something after they're
I
done
said baguette.
protesting.
Why did I say summer of baguette? Why did I
Summer,
say that?
summer of a big yeah. No, no, don't
Baguette.
worry. Once they're done
Um,
protesting this, something
my
else.
God, my brother just texted me. Stop it, Brian. So we're almost done here. But like, yes, Colleen, I forgot she existed as Miranda Sings and everything because that's something I like trauma blocked because I thought Miranda Sings was creepy. I was right. I always trust your gut. I was right. But yes, that we talked about a lot today. You wanted to go to France this summer. Well, it'll be hot, that's for sure. So, funny guys. So, we're gonna be working on some content, 4th of July stuff for you guys. My 4th of July hat. I tried to stay on brand, right, with my cute little crochet hat. But if we decide to do a show for 4th of July, I will go all out. I will do red, white, and blue makeup. I will do all of it. I will be so festive that I'll make up for Derek's lack of festivity,
Oh,
assuming
my
that
lack of festivity.
unless you'll be festive. If you be festive, then like I'll
I
totally
do
support you,
have
love
an
it. And if
American
you,
flag underwear.
please don't wear that on the show.
I won't.
That was totally TMI. Sometimes I think we both forget that we're like live and we're not just
Yeah, I
recording.
can't
And
edit out.
so
I can't edit out any of this stuff and make it any better, so we'll just go with this.
read. Okay. T-Bone wants you.
Read my
He said
comment.
I'm cooking. He can't spell Papi Chulo. Read my comment, Papi Chulo. Chula. What is happening? T-Bone, message us if you're not okay. Miranda sings to a special needs girl with a heartwarming story. You thought, yeah. She was, yeah, just a character, kind of a caricature of like, she kind of reminded me of the, that's against TOS, sir. She kind of reminds me of like the special needs kid everyone made fun of, but like, there were always kids that were like, oh, like, don't pick on her, like, she's special needs, so, like, everyone decides to, like, be really nice. Like, this happened to me in high school. There was a kid that was getting bullied, and I befriended him, and all of a sudden, people stopped bullying him, and I think it's because I was kind of ruthless my senior year and gave up on, like, caring. And, oops, so when someone was doing something I didn't like, I said something. So that was something I did, and like we were good friends and we're still good friends. So like everyone kind of felt for this character, the people that thought she was like real. They're like, we can't make fun of an autistic kid, right? Right? Like we're not gonna do that. This woman's posting stuff on the internet, she's having fun. We're not gonna make fun of that. Psych, it is a normal woman who puts cheese balls in her pants and she's a creep. So yikes,
I can't
Colleen,
imagine
yikes.
your little 4'11"
5 foot. No, I mean, but like that's the thing is
being
like
mad
people
at
that are
someone.
shorter are scarier, right? Because we like hold all the
I
anger
mean,
against
yeah,
the dense,
it's like a
like
level,
the
but once
dense
it's
ones.
like there's a level though. Like once you get you're short, then it's just like
You're short.
it's like a little
What?
it's like a little dog that's yipping at you. It's just like it's kind of cute, but like I'm not
Okay, it's
scared of
kind
it.
of cute, but it's
It's
also
like
like, oh, it's
if you
mad.
had a
Like,
big
you know
dog
what?
barking at you, growling versus a little chihuahua growling at you. I
I'm
mean,
not a chihuahua. That was so obnoxious. I'm so sorry. No, it was more that I was the person that never got mad too, and so when I was mad, stop spreading misinformation, guys. I'm 5 feet tall. God, no, yeah, T-Bone spreading misinformation, and they're laughing because they've met me in person and like they know I'm 5 feet tall and like, so they know, but they
yeah,
just
you were
love to like.
4'11". I grabbed my
Why
tape
did you
measure.
just say I'm 3'5"? David, what the hell? Yeah, I am tacos and coconut shrimp. Nice. I am 5 feet tall, and y'all can believe what you want, but don't believe these gaslighting haters. They are just jealous that I am a short, petite, adorable little human.
And for that, I think we can start wrapping up our show.
So sorry that is no. I am.
I think we've gone off the rails a little too much right here at the
This
end.
is you guys are seeing what happens behind the scenes when we're like recording and like
Yeah. This
we're
is
like giving
so
each other crap.
our
So
45-minute episode that came out Friday. That was an hour and 20 minutes of
yeah.
raw. The 30-minute one was about an hour and a half, but only
Yeah,
30
that
minutes
one
was
was
yeah.
hilarious though. That
That
one
that
was
was that
funny.
was funny, but yeah.
Yeah. We'll run in your room at night and so hey, watch out. Okay, I want the height and you guys have it, and I will do any means necessary if I have to. Watch out. So that's all for our show today, guys. Thank you so much for joining us live and being super like, ooh, got him, T-Bone got you. Being super interactive in the chat. We really appreciate it, and we would appreciate you guys liking, subscribing, sharing this with your friends, and we're gonna try to do lives every weekend. I think every Sunday we're gonna try to do this. So we would love to join you guys on every Sunday to hang out and keep you guys entertained for a little while we talk about the weekend stories and a week wrap up, wow, of all the things going on in the world. And we're going to maybe try to do a 4th of July thing. It's TBA. So we'll let you guys know if we do or don't. Maybe we'll record something and just upload it. Maybe we'll go live. Again, whatever happens, happens. We're kind of still learning here, right? So we don't have a set schedule yet. But we wanted to, again, thank you guys for being here today. Don't forget to go to our Patreon at $1, $3, or $5 a month for exclusive content, including all those lovely outtakes. And they're fun, guys. There's some really good ones of me in there. I don't have a filter 90% of the time. I really work that 10% hard in here, right? I am whoo. But don't forget you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Olivia Claire with 3 A's and Olivia, 2 E's and Claire. You can follow Derek on Twitter at Real Derek Menton. And you can follow our podcast on Twitter at TD Fire Podcast. Don't forget to catch the clips from last week's show this week or any clips from this that we decide to take. And we will see you guys possibly Tuesday, but definitely on Friday with a new episode. Bye.
Hey, see you guys.